reliable. Im ersten aber im zweiten narratives vary according their degree of participation in the story. Oh ja, jetzt ein anderes Wort. Im Author, ich glaube irgendwie so in Omniscience oder in General Moral Commentary on Human Activity. Yeah, in first person they are involved either as witness or as assistant. Ah, yeah, first person. That's right. We have two.
Alright, so wait. And is distinguished from the first person narrative, right?
In modern analysis of fictional narratives, the narrator and the image of
Distinguished. Who may have written other tales but very different.
Imagine voice transmitting the story.
Wait, one who tells or is assumed to be telling the story, given narrative and modern. From the
Aside from the author who. Yeah.
image from the author.
Voice. Imagine can be also
Who may have written other tales. Narratives vary according to their degree of participation in the
The
story.
narrator is the imagined omniscient narrative. Okay, I think I'll leave the first one. Because my brain is not.
Story.
Absolutely. Okay, that's all. Egal.
Wait,
I have to develop.
It is malleable.
I know.
Can be done.
Okay.
wait, narrators vary according to their degree of participation in the story. In degree, reliable,
Also
involved in
intrusive narrative. Yeah, we got. And significance of the story narrative.
Is Mathias finished or almost?
Almost.
Alle andere Beispiele, wenn muss man ich voll genius.
Von mir wäre es schwer.
Das hast du doch 10 Minuten gelernt.
Von hier? Nein.
Sehr, sehr reiner. Okay.
Comments. There's general.
Get ready, we're going to start in a second.
No. Comments. Allows the novel to be used for general case.
Let's see, by the way, what do you call this here? This word in a dictionary or this here?
Word.
Yeah.
No, this is actually two words.
Yeah.
Words.
What was the
Not what
question?
it's called.
What do you call this in a dictionary? the word to be explained, here narrator and here intrusive narrator. What do you call
Seven. Seven.
it? Right. You actually have the word here. Lemma.
Lemma.
Okay.
These are lemmas, or you can also use the old Greek plural lemmata. So two lemmata we have, narrator and intrusive narrator. All right, so as you can see, it does not talk about all the things we have talked about, and it also introduces two or three new terms, but then we're speaking it's the same. So what do you have for the first? Yes,
Voice.
okay. So it is the imagined voice. Where do you have first-person narratives then?
In the third slot, in first person narratives, they are invoked by the earth.
Yep, and where do you have reliable?
Oh,
Whatever.
6.
Very good.
That's 5. 6.
6.
Yeah.
And you have author.
Two.
But also might write first book using the third person fiction narrator, and the second book might use the first person perspective narrator. So author and narrator are the same. Covert. Covert means basically covered, so you can't see or perceive the thing very easily. Nice.
5.
Covert narrators are identified by number voice, as in first-person narratives, and omniscient narrator. There I go.
4.
Uh-huh. And omniscient narrator. Have we got them all? I think so, right? Okay. So basically, third-person narrators are reliable, and first-person narrators can be unreliable. Has anyone seen the film, The Usual Suspects? The Usual Suspects, 1995. No? Okay, we might watch it for the sake of narrator types, of course, not for fun, right? Okay. Oh, since we are talking about that, has anyone seen The Village? Well, I played some of its soundtrack last year, you might remember, the link between music and emotions. Which is also good, not really for narrators, but for plot twists and genre. It sort of changes its genre towards the end by reason of plot twist. Quite interesting. Okay, anyway. And then, intrusive narrator. What do you have for the first plot? James?
The first part, a omniscient narrator.
Yes, so an intrusive narrator is always omniscient. We knew that, right? So where do you have significance of the story?
Number 3. From the
Yep.
word.
Okay. Oh, and now, of course, these are have been swapped. Okay, so let's come at the end. The comments, that is. Okay. So now we know, I suppose, you were wondering before, yeah, about third person omniscient. And what subdivisions do we have? Third person omniscient. Now you should know. Yes.
Intrusive narrator or normal narrator.
Unintrusive, yes. Okay, so omniscient, intrusive, and omniscient unintrusive. So intrusive has been defined. Yeah, has anyone ever read a narrative with an intrusive narrator? What would that have been?
I don't quite remember.
You may not have read any works of literature with an intrusive omniscient narrator because it is no longer popular. So as it says, it had its heyday in the 18th and 19th centuries. Nowadays, authors generally don't comment upon, or they have narrators who don't comment upon the characters, but rather they leave us to work it out, what the characters are like. By the way, George Eliot, this is a pen name. This is actually a woman, Mary Ann Evans, who used George Eliot as her pen name. Okay, and now you can apply this. You can apply this to the next thing. Yeah, types of narrator worksheet. That's the second to last entry in the list. Worksheet. And then you should get this here. So I've given you 4 excerpts from works of literature. And your job is to work out which type of narrator it is. I haven't got all the narrator types here. You have the choice between first person subjective, third person limited, so limited perspective to one character, perhaps 2, maybe 1. And third person omniscient, intrusive, third person omniscient, intrusive.
Okay.
So which are missing in this list?
First person observer.
Yes, exactly. That's missing, yeah. I think otherwise we have to. In the last question, this is about life of silence, so which narrator type do we find there? Also, who is the focalizer? We haven't talked about focalization, have we? Okay. So this is in the presentation as well. Let's do this then before we start. So a focalizer is not entirely the same thing as a narrator. Let's have a look here first. Let's have a look at an example. This is from a famous novel of Charles Dickens. The novel is called Great Expectations. Charles Dickens, famous, mainly London-based author, who wrote about the plight of poor people in the 19th century, industrialization, you might remember. There's so many poor people. Oliver Twist, also by Charles Dickens, an orphan. You are to wait here, you boys, said Estella, and disappeared and closed the door. I took the opportunity of being alone in the courtyard to look at my coarse hands and my common boots. My opinion of those accessories was not favorable. They had never troubled me before, but they troubled me now as vulgar appendages. So this is basically, which type of narrator do you think we have?
First person is subjective.
Well, certainly first person. Well, the subjective or objective is hard to tell from this. Okay, so here it's it's an observer because he's describing his childhood. He wait till he's dead, but when he's telling the story, he's not. And now we can see from this the difference between vocalization and narration. Vocalization basically answers the question who sees. That's the young Pip. Pip is the name of this character. So we see things through his eyes. So I took the opportunity to look at my coarse hands, right, upon boots, and by bringing the paper, etc. We are looking through the boy's eyes. That's the vocalizer, the young version of the narrator, so to speak. So the vocalizer, that's the perspective or angle of vision from which we see the story, or a part of it. A narration answers the question who speaks, and that's the adult. That is not the same thing. Basically, the narrator puts the perspective of the vocalizer into words. Vocalizer and narrator can be the same, don't have to. Also, with To Kill a Mockingbird, we have the difference, right? So often we see through young scout's eyes, but the person narrating is another effect. And now here you have to answer this here for either science, which type of narrator and who you require. All right. Now, it is not that straightforward because usually you need to know most of the book or a lot.